There are moments in life when something shifts, something unseen. The air around you grows heavy. The people you once trusted begin to reveal sides of themselves you never imagined. Doors that used to swing open effortlessly are now sealed shut. You can feel it in your spirit, even if you can't explain it with words. Something isn't right. Most people brush these moments off. They label them as coincidence, bad luck, or just a rough patch. But if you're here, if you're hearing this right now, it is not by accident. The truth is, the chosen ones know. They sense it. They recognize when heaven is speaking, not in whispers, but in thunder. You see, God doesn't always speak with soft signs. Sometimes He shakes your entire world, shakes it like an earthquake, to remove what's no longer meant for your journey, to strip away comfort and routine and redirect you toward your divine purpose. These disruptions are not meant to destroy you, they're meant to wake you up. Because ignoring divine warnings leads to deeper pain. And maybe you already know that. Maybe you felt it, the weight in your chest, the pattern that keeps repeating, the opportunities that seem to vanish the moment you reach for them. That's not just bad luck. That's a message. Let me be clear. When God places His hand on your life, everything must shift. People will fall away. Plans will crumble. Paths will close. But it's never without reason. He never disrupts without purpose. And if you resist the signs, the warnings will grow louder until you have no choice but to listen. This is not just another video. This is a calling. Your spirit knows that something bigger is happening. Today, we're going to explore 7 shocking signs that God is trying to warn you. These are not coincidences. These are not accidents. These are wake-up calls. And if even one of these signs feels familiar to you, then it's time to pay attention. But before we begin, let me ask you something from the heart. Have you ever had something snatched from your life suddenly, painfully, and you didn't understand why? A job, a friend, a partner? At the time, it felt like betrayal. But later, you realized it was protection, divine redirection. If that's ever happened to you, drop your story in the comments. Your voice might be the exact confirmation another soul is praying for right now. Sign number 1. When life feels completely stagnant and blocked. Have you ever felt like you're walking through molasses? Like no matter how hard you try, nothing moves forward? You send applications, silence. You invest in relationships, they fall apart. You pour your energy into your dreams, only to see them dry up. This is not a coincidence. When your life feels like it's frozen, it's often a sign from above, a divine warning that you're either moving in the wrong direction or that you're not moving at all when you're meant to be. You see, God will block what isn't meant for your destiny. Yes, many are the plans in a man's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that prevails. When you are chosen, God will not allow you to walk into what will destroy you. What you call failure, He calls mercy. What you call a setback, He calls protection. So ask yourself, what have you been forcing that refuses to move? What dream, what plan, what relationship have you clung to even as the door keeps slamming shut? Maybe God has locked it, not to punish you, but to protect you. Stagnation can be a test or a warning. If your stillness is filled with peace, it may be divine preparation. But if it's filled with stress, anxiety, and fatigue, it's likely a sign you're not where you belong. Remember Joseph. Before he rose to power in Egypt, he was betrayed, sold, imprisoned. From the outside, it looked like stagnation, but God was preparing him for greatness. So, could your delay be divine alignment? Don't fight closed doors. Don't force what keeps breaking. Pray. Surrender. Ask God to reveal the lesson and be willing to let go. Because when you stop striving in your own strength, God can finally begin to guide your steps. Sign number 2. Sudden and drastic loss. Nothing hits harder than losing what you thought you couldn't live without. One day everything feels secure. Then suddenly you're left with nothing. The job disappears. The relationship ends. The opportunity evaporates. You ask, why? And heaven responds, because I saw what you couldn't. Sudden loss is one of the loudest ways God speaks. When He removes something abruptly, it's often a rescue mission. You may not see it now, but He's protecting you from future pain, unseen betrayal, or spiritual stagnation. Think of Job. In one day, he lost everything: his family, his health, his wealth. It seemed cruel. But Job's story wasn't over. After a season of suffering, God restored double what was lost. So when loss shakes your life, remember, God doesn't subtract without plans to multiply. Stop chasing what's already gone. Don't beg for what God removed. He knows what you do not. He sees behind closed doors and into hidden hearts. And when you refuse to walk away from what's hurting you, He will take it away by force. Sign number 3. Deep, unshakable inner restlessness. Sometimes everything on the outside looks okay, but inside, you feel unsettled. You can't explain it. You just know something is off. That's not anxiety. That's not stress. That's the voice of God. When you're misaligned with your calling or stuck in a place that's beneath your purpose, your spirit will not rest. That uneasy feeling you've been carrying, that's divine unrest. God shaking your soul from the inside out, because He loves you too much to let you stay where you don't belong. You can't silence that voice with distractions. No amount of scrolling, working, partying, or pretending will make it go away. Because it's not a random feeling. It's a sacred alarm clock. Think about Jonah. When he ran from his calling, restlessness didn't fade. It swallowed him. God will not let you be comfortable in disobedience. The longer you ignore the unrest, the louder it gets, until finally it pushes you into the very change you were too after. This is not random. This is divine alignment. When God is trying to speak to you, He may send signs through repetition, patterns so consistent that they can no longer be dismissed as coincidence. You keep seeing the same number, maybe 111333 or 777. You keep hearing the same words from different mouths. You have a recurring dream that won't leave you alone. These are not just psychological phenomena. These are spiritual nudges, alerts from heaven that something important is unfolding. When you keep experiencing the same message again and again, it means God is urgently trying to get your attention. He knows that you might overlook a whisper, but He will keep repeating the signal until you finally pause and listen. He may be warning you about a decision, calling you to make a shift, or confirming that the path you're considering is the right one. Are you paying attention? You see, the chosen ones develop spiritual sensitivity over time. They begin to sense the patterns that others ignore. They understand that God uses the ordinary to deliver the extraordinary. If your spirit is awakened enough to recognize these repetitive messages, then you're already being prepared for a greater mission. What you must do when synchronicities appear is simple but sacred. Don't dismiss them. Write them down, reflect, pray over them, ask for clarity, and most importantly, respond. The more you acknowledge divine signs, the more clearly you will begin to hear God's voice. Do not let the signs pass you by, because to ignore them is to risk missing a blessing, or worse, walking into danger unprepared. Raid to choose. Sign number 5, the sudden exposure of hidden enemies. Have you ever experienced a moment when someone you trusted, someone you truly believed was loyal and genuine, suddenly showed their true colors? It's one of life's most painful revelations. When a person you thought was for you turns out to have been against you all along. They smiled in your face, offered kind words, maybe even supported your dreams in public. But behind closed doors, they were secretly rooting for your downfall. They clapped when you succeeded, but deep down they envied every step you took. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, the mask slips, the truth comes out. Their betrayal is exposed, not because you did anything wrong, but because God is protecting you. That exposure is no coincidence, it's divine intervention. It's God's way of saying, this person cannot go with you where I'm taking you. Isaiah 54:17 reminds us, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. When God elevates you, He doesn't just bless you, He also begins to separate you, because not everyone clapping for you is truly on your side. Some people are only meant to walk with you for a season, and when that season ends, God allows their true character to surface. Sometimes it happens through jealousy, other times through betrayal, manipulation, or even sudden abandonment. But the goal is always the same: protection. God's exposure isn't to break you, it's to keep you safe, to clear the path ahead so your destiny isn't delayed by people who secretly despise your progress. Pay attention to how people begin to behave. That friend who used to cheer for you now seems distant. That colleague who once had your back is now cold or competitive. Tension builds where there used to be peace. These shifts are not random, they're revelations. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Don't cling to what God is removing. If someone exits your life after being exposed, let them go. Their departure may be the very thing that opens the door to your breakthrough. Remember, even Jesus had a Judas, someone who walked closely with him, dined with him, laughed with him, and yet still betrayed him. And yet, without Judas, there would have been no cross. And without the cross, there would have been no resurrection. Some betrayals in your life are not curses. They are catalysts, designed not to hurt you, but to elevate you into your greater purpose. So when God exposes someone, trust Him. Don't question it. Don't excuse it. Ask for discernment. Ask for healing. But most importantly, ask for the strength to walk away with peace. Because holding on to the wrong people will only delay what God is trying to bring into your life. There are no secrets in the spiritual realm. God hears every whispered conversation and sees every hidden motive. And when the time is right, He reveals the truth. This is not rejection. This is divine protection. Sign 6, a drastic shift in energy and the storm of sudden chaos. Then there are moments when life turns upside down with no warning at all. Everything that once felt safe, secure, and stable suddenly begins to crumble. The people you once leaned on pull away. The plans you built with care start to fall apart. You feel emotionally drained, spiritually empty, like the ground beneath you is moving and you can't find your balance. At first, it seems like bad luck, like things are just going wrong. But it's not random. This is God sending a storm to awaken your soul. When you're living in alignment with God's purpose, there's peace, even in difficulty. But when you're off the path, when you're staying somewhere you've outgrown, God will stir things up. He will disrupt your comfort to shake you out of complacency. He'll cause the water to rise, the doors to shut, the people to leave. Not out of punishment, but to get your attention. Think of Jonah. He ran from God's calling and boarded a ship headed the wrong direction. But God sent a storm, not to harm him, but to turn him around. That storm wasn't random. It was a redirection. So if life feels like it's falling apart, ask yourself, am I resisting God's will? Is He trying to get my attention? Sometimes the storm isn't around you. It starts within you. You wake up with a strange unease. What once made you happy now feels heavy. The job, the relationship, the city, none of it brings peace. That's God whispering, it's time to move. And if you don't listen to the whispers, they grow louder. The discomfort turns to distress. The distress becomes chaos. And suddenly, things break. People leave. The door slams shut. Let it. God is not trying to destroy you. He's trying to rebuild you. You cannot carry old comfort into your new calling. Let it fall apart. Let it collapse. Because what God builds next will stand stronger than anything you lost. When the storm comes, don't fight it. Lean into it. Ask God, what are you trying to show me? Don't numb yourself with distractions. Don't resist the change. Sit in silence. Listen. Surrender. What looks like destruction may be the beginning of your divine destiny. Sign 7. The repeated urge to walk away. Sometimes the sign doesn't come in chaos. It comes as a quiet voice. A gentle but persistent whisper that says, it's time to go. At first you brush it off. Things seem fine on the outside, but inside, something feels off. You wake up feeling disconnected. You go through the motions, but your spirit is restless. The passion is gone. The joy is fading. This is not just overthinking. It's not a phase. It's God gently nudging you to move. God often speaks through intuition. And when something is no longer aligned with your purpose, your spirit starts to reject it. You can't force peace where God has removed it. And the more you ignore it, the more uncomfortable it becomes. The conversations feel forced. The place that once felt like home starts to suffocate. The job becomes draining. The friendship grows cold. The relationship begins to erode. Eventually, the gentle nudge becomes a deep ache. And if you still won't move, God removes his peace. This is not punishment, it's protection. He's not trying to harm you. He's making it impossible to stay in a place that is no longer meant for you. God doesn't take without giving. When he asks you to walk away, it's because he's already prepared something better, something you haven't seen, something your current situation is blocking. But walking away requires faith. Most people wait for perfect clarity, but faith rarely gives you the full picture. It simply says, trust me. If you've been sensing the call to move, pay attention. Your spirit knows. God sends signs, conversations, dreams, verses, even repeated feelings to confirm the shift. If everything inside you is pulling away from something, that is the Holy Spirit trying to lead you to something better. Don't stay because it's familiar. Don't cling out of fear. What lies ahead may not be fully clear, but if God is calling, what's behind you is already over. Let go, walk away, trust the journey, because obedience always leads to blessing.